다지 랍지 어레 다샤도 쓰면서 야 다랍지 어디를 가서 랍지 제바 제바보다 내 딱바스 다중에 던주 쉐제샤디 주상주 나옵니다. 랍지 둠바드 나라야 제네 직슨 빼져나라야 믹스 직슨 매나 티야 가바슨 자샤나 제어 내방 가바숨디 다중에 쉬다 한가 차례 내가 직할 사샤서나 내마 뒤에 사샤 티 양주 자슈지 뒤뒤지 랍지 둠바디
가라티 코디 디 야치무도
저데
카바디 the sound box is not working.
The sound is working. I'll turn it up over.
You can turn it up. Thank you. Hello. Yes, hello. Hello. Yeah, you can hear it. It's better. Okay. So I forgot one thing to mention about the 7th chapter, and that is basically summarizing the chapter in terms of the 4 points that I do with each chapter.
다 디디 제네 직선 디페지디나 믹스 매바이나야 가바슨 자신도와 당부 제와 네바 당부 제와 다지세 되는 네바 다지 되는 가발 다지세 되는 지도와 다지시도 된도 쟁가 다 제네 가슴스 되지로도와 그저 대샤네.
So in the in the text itself, the actual analysis is pertaining to arising, and then instead of like perishing, it says cessation or negation. So perishing, cessation. That's okay. Okay, cessation, therefore cessation and abiding.
땅에디 데만일마 뒤시기 두두시잖아. 데 랍지 데만일마 뒤시.
So I'm going to summarize this particular chapter within the context of the two truths.
어디지? 딱 내루 돈나왕도 제베이나 제와야 라시 마두 네바야 라시 마두 가바야 라시 마두 짱스.
So even though from the point of view of ultimate reality, from the point of view of self-nature, arising does not inherently exist, negation does not inherently exist, and likewise abidance does not exist inherently. Negation here basically means perishing, even though the term is used as negation. So what is there at the first moment ceases to be in the second moment. That is negation or cessation or perishing.
The cessation is that 되네 다 내가려고 그랬는데 군조 왕도 제나 아니 제와 화랑 군주도 여도 코치지 줄 때는 제와라 와 제와 화랑 지지 줄 때는 제와래.
So from a conventional point of view, arising exists because of the causes and conditions that give rise to arising.
어디 다 들어가 나시 그 never 생각해야 다 들어가 나시 게 지지 줄 때문에 제와 화랑 따보 말아 지지 줄 때문에 다티 지지 줄 아마도 지지 줄 때문에 제와 태양 콜 자지여로 콜 never여래 콜 자지 남자애도 자지 남자도 요 담보 내고로 present 콜 내가 내고지 내셔 주고 네 콜 여셔 주고 와 디데 아니 니바들 내 생디.
So arising itself, the arising that arises because of causes and conditions, arising itself also has in the second moment kind of a form of abidance because it stays in the second moment. So this abidance simply refers to its existence, not in the sense of abidance of come abiding sense.
다 되네 never 생디 아무 여바 생디 가르고서 깨와디 내바로 깨와 내바에 무슨 깨와 내세디 맞은 내요 말와 대인도 내생 거 깨와 뛰어들어.
And likewise, something that we have to understand is that the entity's abidance, when we say that something abides, it necessarily is dependent on its arising. Without arising, there is no abidance.
어디 딱코 내밤 여세디 들 된자 야서 말해 아야 다시 하고 마시 다 내세디 두 다도 여지 된다 말이었어 그 딱봐 말아 두 다도 여밤 내부 된 말.
So
abidance
here also doesn't mean that it abides permanently, because in the second moment it perishes or it ceases to be. Because it is the abidance is also ceasing by nature, perishable by nature.
다른 내버티 각부 추진에 가르쳐나 그 제와라 그 제외를 하시는데 제사제라 아니 내바고 그 체주래 체주대야 따바 말면서 그 각밤 직밤 식밤 각부 라시래 선도 수바들.
So abidance in turn is perishing or ceasing because of its arising nature. So therefore it has all of these qualities. Abiding because of perishing because of arising.
딱 호라야 아니고 딱 보면 순간 가서 가브라신 가브라신 있어.
So it also has the nature of cessation because it is not permanent. It ceases from moment to moment.
다는 가바 생에디 가르쳐 가바양 아니 네발 뛰어 네밤 뒤지 여더버지 매바이나 안 가바타니에 말 남갈 가요 말와.
And cessation in tow can only be understood when there is abidance. Because of there being abidance, we can think of something as ceasing to be. If there is no abidance or existing, then there is no cessation. Just like space cannot be talked about as ceasing to be because there is no existing or abiding in the first place. So therefore all of these three features of arising, abidance and ceasing are mutually implicated, mutually dependent. So this is from the point of view of conventional reality, from the point of view of infallibility of conventional reality. So this is what entrance Chandikati mentions in the entrance to the middle when he says that whatever is perceived is conventional reality that is in turn deluded. So what is Madhyamika trying to refute is the fact of the intrinsic reality or nature, because they exist in relation to each other. Therefore, at the conventional level, therefore, they do not intrinsically exist. So the ultimate existence of these three features is negated, not their conventional nature. So, and because the composite phenomena therefore does not inherently exist because of the fact that these three features of a composite phenomena does not inherently exist. Therefore we can also come to the conclusion that uncompounded phenomena also do not inherently exist.
딴 뒤치기 있으면 야는 약보야. 다이 타마타마데 늦어지만 두마신 세다 좀 생치기도 다지디. 자와든 되게 약보지. 남거이나.
So
자시든 고셔서 되는 바 챘냐 보도.
So this is a very important line actually, because compounded phenomena does not inherently exist, therefore also uncompounded phenomena do not inherently exist. It's a very kind of essential point in this particular text.
Oh, this is. Oh, this is study. Didn't the shoe just or this way.
So this is how we can summarize the 7th chapter that I totally forgot to mention. It's not in the text. Now we go to the 8th chapter. Examination of agent and action.
다 지셔도 제바이나 지당게 제바보 생디 간데 뭐 생그래 레 생데 간데 뭐 생그래 당부 그냥 딱지 시대 시대 되는 거와 이 딱지 앞지 제바데 가 딱지 시대선 딱지 제자 시대 가르스나 제바보다 레니데 딱지 시대 시샤 디랑시 좀더 말 딱지 세당데 지고 오늘도 시작.
So two categories that are analyzed here are, in terms of whether they inherently exist or not, are action and agent. So now first of all we have to understand what is action and what is agent.
딴 디긴 대만 도나 가르려서나 마리바 줄이 등 강사티 디게 아니 제바보로 샤네 디 아니 레 가서 소남다 소남 마인 받아 미요레 든 사기리에서 송도 도나 도나들 너 잠고지.
So this particular topic comes from or branches off from a discussion in Sudra, where the Sudra says that a person who is possessed by ignorance, or person who is possessed by ignorance, now that basically being the agent is the person who is influenced by ignorance, engages in three kind of actions, positive action, negative actions, and unwavering actions, which is like uncontaminated actions.
Oh, that do ti gombadi ani do tigi uden tarten shaati ani kelling yor da de 갈서 그래 뭐마와 이난다 우마바 이난다 디 kelling 그래 군주 잡나 디 kelling yor.
So conventionally this particular statement is something that is accepted by all the Buddhist philosophical schools, including substantialists such as Vipashka and Sautrantika, and the middle way school as well. Their conventional this statement at its conventional level is not something that is debated.
다 가르쳐서 다 디디 말이고 되면 가사되게 레사기 말했는데 레사긴 그 제법 강사다 사지 레디얼 말세디 돈다면 가자지 않고 라시 주베 라시 두그레 생각만 저거체 디 조금 말에 생각만 받는 파 다시는 라시 두부는 두당 다시식이 다 다시식
So the debate here is whether these two categories, agent and action, exist because of their self-nature, because of having self-nature, exists inherently, truly, that is, swabhavikally, that is. And so the Madhyamika school says that, these two does not exist swabhavikally or inherently, and other like Buddhist substantialists say that they exist inherently. So this is basically what is analyzed or examined and debated. So the conventional status is not debated. But when we begin to analyze the nature of the agent that engages in these active actions, and when we begin to analyze the nature of the actions that the agent engages in, then we are no longer actually engaging in conventional analysis. We are engaging in the analysis of ultimate reality. For example, we say that there's a driver and there's a car. So conventionally we don't debate about it. There's a car and there's a driver. So we generally don't analyze or debate. If we say conventionally that there is a driver, there is an object, which is the car, and then there is the act of driving, activity of driving. We don't actually, and when we say this conventionally, we don't debate, we don't analyze. There is no doubt. But then when we begin to analyze the nature of the driver, who is really the driver, is there such a thing as driver ultimately, or the nature of the activity of driving and things like that, then by definition we are engaging in ultimate analysis. Similarly, when we engage in what is the nature of the person who is suffering, like if we talk about a person suffering, then when we engage in analysis of the person, the nature of the person who's suffering, or the nature of the suffering itself, right, and nature of the act of bearing the suffering, then we are also engaging in ultimate analysis. So therefore we have to understand the significance and the mode of analysis of the relationship between agent and action. This is very important here. So this is basically the description of the purpose of engaging in this particular examination. Now I'm going to concisely explain the mode of analysis that is done here.
The creators 제바보 생긴 간디 작어요래. 지단 가는서 직된 제바보 직된 꼬바보 되세요래. 아니 제바보 생데 간디 쓰고 제바보 생다 디 제비 자와 생데 간디 좀 쓰고요래. 지단 디지시 삼당.
So not in the scripture, but something generally that we should contemplate about is the nature of the agent. Who is the agent here? Is the agent a creator, God? And also, what is the nature of the action? And what is their relationship?
Diha kola ngaraus daji ranshi meba kai tona di khe chemba nangor di neba sing daji rabji duman chejing ne so neba sing neba ranshi neba so yoba de duje yona ranshi tubu re so de ranshi tuba de ngaraus lenji zimba yoda ro de zimba lenji zimba de ta tubde ko dot dang no ga de an chirba na wangju cheba bonde ya chirba khaji 아니 중화 시도자 cheba bonde ya chirba 가시 ge duchen cheba bonde 다양 출동 가시에게는 꼰조 제밥인데 어다 된대 제밥인데 양 가시에 저보다 가지 쌤 제밥인데 되는 되게 가르쳐서는 꼰조 대가지 님만 맞죠 쯤에 저 그런 속을 현지를야 늦게 내받아라시 여바지 시작시는도 내받아 여바라 여호랑시 요주도 째는 떼주 고도서 시상 거 대신 안에 꼰조게 다지 제밥버선지 매너도 짠데 님도 삼거 봐. 두다 마워서 용당 된다. 두다 마워서 용당을 돼.
So
더 다들 간 더다로 왔던가. 더 다고야지.
So this analysis of whether what is the nature of the agent and what is the nature of action, whether an agent exists or not, comes from our earlier discussions on arising and abidance and cessation. Because for a thing to abide, which we generally accept, means for it to exist. So the idea of things existing, or the idea of existence is something that we inherently entertain. And existence here is like existence in the sense of intrinsic existence. We have this innate grasping to the notion of intrinsically existent things. And our innate grasping in turn is something that we then superimpose. Our innate grasping, then we, based on this, our innate grasping to an intrinsic reality, then we engage in philosophical analysis, and then we conceptually impute having divisions of different philosophical schools and religious traditions and so forth. For example, due to this innate grasping, some people say that therefore the innate existence, because of a innately grasping to a notion of an inherently existing agent, when they engage in analysis, some people say that that agent must be Shiva. So Shiva as the agent, Shiva as the ultimate agent or creator, something that a philosophical, a religious tradition, a tradition that has been here for thousands of years. And if you are Sankhya, then it is basically the agent is basically the primordial being or Purusha, and things like that. And some Hindu philosophical schools maintain that the ultimate agent is the four elements, or some schools maintain that the ultimate agent is the subtlest particles, or some philosophical schools maintain that the ultimate agent is the God, the creator, and some still maintain that the ultimate agent is the mind-only school. So because of these conceptual imputations of an innate grasping that we have, it gives rise to many philosophical schools and religious traditions, and the ultimately all of these conceptual philosophical imputations of philosophy comes from our innate grasping to a sense of intrinsic agent.
당 아주 낭발 샤샤바이나야 제바보 생데 가지 낭발 샤샤바이나야 아니 제다마 나오지나야 강사 라시 두고요. 강사 라시 말은 되고 강사 라시 두당데 가듯이 강사 선데 가듯이선도 아니 폼봉가 촉받아 샤고레스 부모가 처버 라준이 라비 준지로 참버서 부모가 작바서 라비 라준디 아니 다 디디 아니 제바보스나 강사선 디레스.
So then in Vipassika school of philosophy, for example, Vipassika and Sautrantika school, they cling to a notion of inherently existing person, and that is because they actually cling to a notion of inherently existing psychophysical aggregates. So because psychophysical aggregates, the 5 aggregates that is, exist truly or inherently, the continuum of these 5 psychophysical aggregates is referred to as the person. So therefore also the person truly exists, according to their own philosophical analysis. And if you are not able to find this person due to the analysis, ultimate analysis, then they say that then causality will not also be viable, because there is no agent. They will not. They also action will not be viable. This is a Buddhist school.
that's the same number in up to the tip of that was up here. The less about the Kansas, Tatu Hatu, Namji took the shot and Namji to the temple Mendusco. Then the Jeremdus. Then the name with Papa there on the Kansas city and the Kushinamshi Gudus. What that Chababo in the Kansas and the Patanos in the Rashi to Matsin, young Gudus. Karagodus, not the Kushinamshi.
And then likewise with respect to the mind-only school, even though it is a very profound school, it is a Mahayana philosophical school, in their ultimate analysis as to finding the final reference point for person, they come to this conclusion that the 6 types of consciousness cannot be the reference point for the person, because they are fluctuating, ever changing. So for a person has to be for it to be the agent of karmic actions and so forth, has to be more permanent. So therefore they come to the conclusion that the reference point for the person ultimately is alaya vijnana, or the base consciousness or foundational consciousness.
Ta umabalaya ta the to the samaz lo chiwenani 테라니 카샤시네 강사 아니 강사 생긴 따존체는 예주하고도 예주면 지금도 다 예주는 가르샤르스는 랑주보다 보지나 아니 가르쳐래 sensin namshi shagres number 10 jun shagres tenju wada bujina dadon zhen ye go ma de ne ya tani de men ru ma de 부모가 알다 딱 잡으면 가서 열을 나야 가서 이제 다 제가 지금 뭐 랑집에 난 밥만 봐서 그만 어떤지래.
So then we come to the Madhyamaka tradition, which is divided into 2 philosophical schools. The Swatantika Madhyamaka school, Rangyuba, and the Prasangika Madhyamaka school, Taegyuba. So the Swatantika Madhyamaka school also maintain that even though the person does not inherently exist, but even in analysis we have to find a final reference point for the person, otherwise the person as an agent will not exist or cease to exist. So in their ultimate analysis they say that at a conventional level the reference point for the person is the continuum of the mental consciousness, 6th mental consciousness. The continuum of the 6th mental consciousness is the reference point for the person, is to be identified as the person. Prasangika Madhyamika on the other hand differs, and they say that when we search for the reference point for the person, whether conventionally or ultimately, we will not find it. But that doesn't really contradict the fact that conventionally the notion of a person functions, because what a person is is a mere label called self based on the five psychophysical aggregates. So the conceptual labeling of self based on the aggregates, that is the person and functions as the person. And which says, even though they describe it like that, in practical terms they are accepting what Sotantika Madhyamika actually accepts.
아주 리뷰 제바치나 다 부모가 때 딱삼 지샤로 텐지보다 부모가 때 딱삼 세대 따도 전는 예요 말와 다디 부모가 가루는 가르 개체도 따와이나 남실을 말이야 따이면도 부모가 가자 딱삼선 되면도 소화를 가자 딱삼선 좀 되면도 다디 개티나 개체 가르 딱삼선 조사 저 가르래샤 따지시느냐 그 제바치 시절에.
So, because we can engage in analysis of the Prasankika position when they say that the person is a mere imputation, mere label based on the five psychophysical aggregates. But then, what is the most predominant of these five psychophysical aggregates that we label as the person? And it's not really the form, but it's really the consciousness. And so therefore we can engage in this kind of analysis.
당 알아서는 뺀듯이라. 아주 신나도 파 누라 되네 파. 당 아주 막 신나 참면 누고 사도 신나래 말다. 방아파 신나도 참면 누고서도 타는서 따도가도 파 신나래도 서도 미 통고도 신나 다녔다고요. 신나지 나 주사서 아니 다 신나 되세요 말대. 그까 신노를 신나서 말아. 신노를 신나서 말아. 신노 망보서 촉바지 파 마다 맞이 땅도 다 신나서. 뭐 주변나 본반나 뭐 마다 나서세죠. 다 정말 제시디. 어디 드레시어. 마다 나서서 마다 맞이서 나서래 생. 나서 투부도 생. 코로나 도시나 되는 양이야 말대. 다시.
So for example how things are mere conceptual label. One example that they usually use is basically the idea of a forest. You look from a distance and say, hey, I wanted to go into that forest and like hang out there in that forest. So conventionally, it's understandable based on there being many trees as the basis for imputation. We impute the notion of a forest, so it functions. But then you go near the forest and into the forest, and what you are encountering there is just individual trees. The forest disappears. Each of the individual trees is not actually the forest.
근데도 군주마다 맞이야 내는 딱이야.
So therefore for Madhyamika tradition they say that we should be simply satisfied with our own conceptual label of things when we don't engage in analysis. Convention, that's how it really means to conventional exist. So that's why in the entrance to the middle way, Chandakirti mentions that the conventional reality should not be analyzed. For us, if we don't analyze, then we get confused. If we analyze, then the mind get confused. If we analyze, but if we don't analyze, we get confused. If we analyze, then the object of analysis disappears altogether.
Oh, 단 니기디 당게 단데 라고 레다 쳐봐 딱 봐서 그냥 뒤에서 개침부를 통송아 어디 빼져나 얘만 자와든 자와든 거도 다 빼져나도 마다 빼져나만 두긴다.
So I thought like these contextual teachings are kind of important for this particular chapter, even though it's not mentioned in the text. Now we are going to go to the actual text.
다 어제도 마티 로다 가도. 계지 당부 제법 인바를 줄바데 레스 줄바 미세도 아래 당가 단지 제다 고원다 쉬어야 돼 단다 다디 제법 벌어와 다디 제법 벌 시에도 제법 도다 시에도 다 레생들 제법보다 레 딱 봐서도 다 레생들 양 용부지어레스.
So now we have I totally forgot, like we have the discussion of the agent. Now, like what is actually the action, that the agent engages in? But that is also a complicated topic too.
다디 좀 되는 도난 디 옆에는 디 중스 렌디 사번은 디 중오 생소지.
So the scriptural context is the Buddha says when we engages in this particular action that arises.
대승. 디 나무에 투모만 봐 땡땡 인보지 디차돼요. 렌데스네 아주 나무에 땡땡 셰도 되래. 저다 한가로라신 툭툭툭 소로양 가보 째데 딜토거.
And this is basically the teachings on dependent origination, which is the very heart of the Buddhist teachings. And the lower philosophical schools in Buddhism actually think that things truly exist because of the fact that Buddha taught the dependent origination.
대응한 지된 제법보다 온적해야 되는 딜토거로 와. 지금 렌데스 통진용주 요등지체 딱그 대파 시샤자르지면은 야노 꼬바버로 저버버지면은 되게 문도 삼아.
And this is also the reason why many philosophical schools come with the notions of ultimate agent in the form of God and so forth, because we see actually all of these activities getting performed.
다 좀대대 다지 도도 공부 레생인데 가르쳐서 나고 레생인데 택바 신분 나라 시당지다 팀에 나라 시당지제 앞에 다 레샤당지다 나오도 그래 다 팀에 나오 샤시나 루비니게 레네셈바 당디체 레생인데 셈베게 레당 300 레생이 여레스 다 저거 셈중래 셈중 그 셈바생디 한 레사그레스 된 레강사와도 운도 주주스나 들 300 레스다 룽아 레다부지 당고 셈게 레사 근데 제고 삼나 셈벨레 레사사레스 셈벨레당 300 레.
So then, in terms of action, the Hinayana tradition has a unique way of understanding it, and the Mahayana has a unique way of understanding it. So according to the Theravadan or Hinayana tradition, Vasubandhu says that action is of two types. That is mentally done or performed, and that which expresses itself physically, vocally, or mentally because of that initial mental action.
됐어요. 아니 자한테 길티기 나 엄마나다 너나다 가르쳐나 아니 너그 숨는 까봐 많이 넣어 진짜 제바보다 셈을 해서 제바보스나 레사바보스나 강가 셈을 해서.
So in the Mahayana tradition, the agent, the A, is basically the subjective mind itself.
다디 됐어. 단 너나 어다 텐데셔로 다그 레슨 그 도도시 미세 샤바자지 매대버지래. 다 룽아 레운도 조선은 그 샤바자여 응외여로 운대여. 다른 아주 사지 풍부들 데니베 가서래 동해 망보지 소공 용도 어디디 그 레삭도 비추신 되버래. 레가 남인시거든.
So, action, when it actually expresses itself physically or vocally, then, we are actually able to see it. But what is actually at the mental level is something that we don't see. But, all kind of experiences that we have, pain or happiness and things like that, pleasurable sensation, things like that, these are basically to be understood as the manifestation of the result of our actions.
다든지. 단디 배적 하나만 두고 다 배적 하나들이 다 사회 삽진들이 숨이야래
So this, now coming to back to the chapter itself, the chapter is divided into 3 topics.
레당 레삭보보 라시 투마로 딱지세네. 디라시 투마가 디직세.
The first topic is by the kind of analysis of the self-nature of agent and action, and establishment of the lack of self-nature pertaining to both.
다 되는 이바티 대인도 레당 상사 레당 속바보 레삭보보 니가 편주 뛰는 주고레스 니바들 편주 뚫읍다는 요레스 라시니 매장.
Then the second topic here is establishing how agent and action, even though they don't actually inherently exist, but they exist because of their interdependent nature. They exist because of their mutual implication.
다 된듯이 다 되는 되게 다 되리고 되게 아니야 최신래 아니 잘시해 가지고 그래서.
And then the third topic is through this understanding or reasoning that the same logic should be applied to other phenomena as well.
다 당분들 초도 좀 자제 가봐 초도 자제 가봤으면 다 가서래. 다 당분들 지 당부 시대 마지 송다 가도.
So now the first verse is that which is an agent does not perform something that is an action. A non-agent does not perform a non-action.
다 대바들. 제보 임벌 줘버리는 레스 마주 미제도 어떻게 봐요?
Well, actually, this translation is better on this case, like the by the Padmakara group. An existent doer does not do existent deeds. Neither does a non-existent doer does a non-existent deed.
다 거지 다시도 저번 저년 빼지 못다뇨 나가데 체를 가고요. 다시도 차부 지라디 각도신 편집에서 나가디 강 내리지 마시고 있나스.
So
되얼마 뒤제.
So because you are not exposed to subtleties of dialectical debates, we're not going to go through the intricacies of the debate here, but I'm going to summarize the text, something that you can understand.
다 레강다 강 제바에 나들 제바보지 거로와 레 강식 제바에 나들 제바보지 레 제세기로 와 레코랑 지금 말와 아니 제바보 제가 말와 대인도 제바보스인데 자와다 넘바지도 제바보스 자와데 제바보 뚱게 지금 저는 자와 샤고요.
So first of all, we have to understand that when we think of the agent, an agent is only possible if there is an action, right? So therefore, an agent is something that possesses the activity or action. And because of the possession of activity, we term that possessor of activity as the agent. And if there is no activity in the agent, then we don't call that agent. And without the agent in activities is also not possible. So these are the fundamental positions that are maintained in a debate.
자와성의 제법이 자와지 제주 제배 찬이고 안 자와성 때 샤와지 마도 때 로스에 말에 스타티지사래.
So that's basically the second verse, to understand which tells that because of an existence of an activity, someone is actually conceptually labeled as an agent, and likewise is the case that because of there being an agent, some activity is labeled as activity.
다 다지디 가면 룹쇼는 시행어. 다 룹쇼니 안 잡아버서데 잡아뛰고 잡아서 잡아버뛰고 된일레스니 호다 지 가자라시 두마는 가션 조마죠. 룹쇼 참 조시. 담제셔야지.
So these are kind of from the point of view of a positive formulation of what is agent and what is activity and so forth, without emphasis on negative formulation. And basically the positive formulation is that they are mutually implicated.
다 되네 아니고 다 되네 마되네 개대 제법 맞으나서 다 각속했지.
And then there is also a negative formulation.
디델로도 되네 마 갖다 뒤 망보였다. 망세였다 마. 같이 런지 되네 마 지금 남부대 도와데 개대 제법 맞으고 레스 맞을 제나데 레라 주니 매브린 주르스.
So a negative formulation is starting from verse number 3. If a non-existent doer did a non-existent deed, of such a deed there would be no cause, and also of the doer there would be no cause.
제법 명예 자와 명예 제법 주시기 말아. 자와 명예 제법이 요나 대티기 말했어.
So therefore what the verse point to is that it is impossible for the existence of a doer without an activity.
지 당문이데. 그래서 제법 마주는 레스 마주 제나 데스.
As indicated
자와 메디 제법 메스 돈들나.
Yeah, without an activity there is no agent or no doer.
그래서 자와 메디 제법 요나스 즉순바. 얘는 말하는 자와 하나지 레 하나 되는 시대. 제법 명예기니 자와 샤고 그래서.
And likewise the last two parts of the verse, like if that is the case, we also have to accept the notion of an activity without an agent. So it says, if a non-existent doer did a non-existent deed, of such a deed there would be no cause.
자지 편집들을 많이나 아니 빼나 준대 편집들을 많이 차그랬어.
And in this way, if the agent and the activity are not mutually implicated or mutually dependent, then by same logic we have to accept that if the cause and effect are also not mutually dependent or implicated.
그래서 주면은 대부당 다나 주면 대부처럼 대부지 여면은 주면 대부지나 안데 손한테 안 주생이 된 적이 많아서 주생인데 왜 말을 했어. 그래서나 대부분도 왔어. 그래서 주면은 대부당 유형 태바 민주로웠어.
So therefore fourth line says, if these are without cause, both fruit and cause will not be untenable. If these do not exist, the done, the doer, and the doing are impossible.
대면은 자와당 아니 대면은 자와당 다 뒤에 순간에 대면은 자와당 제법보다 제메리스 대면은 있어도 같다 데레디 가와지아도서나 제법보다 란시지 메나 자와디 제법보다 제리암 제바 미릭스 자와라소바테 란시지 미릭바이나 자와라소 되다 타니도 미릭바이나 아니 가서 다 델템베키 아니 탈바마면 최도 최마면 라소바테 타니도 메반 주르스다 되네 마 가로고 가고 되게.
So therefore, the last two lines of this
라스트
verse
편중 계획 갈아요 대바들다.
of for word number 4, if these do not exist, the done, the doer, and the doing are impossible. So basically talking about how conventionally, based on mutual dependency, they should exist, and if they don't exist, if the fruit and the result do not exist dependently, then even the notion of done, the doer, and the doing are also impossible.
딱 안한 소리야 되어들려야 돼. 대신 얘는 시버차 다 가다 숨바데다 간주다 리바티게다 최신의 자야들이 리바티 최신의 자진이마 다 자송아 다 당부 가서서 리바기 가서도 두조니 토니 자진이가 라신이 줘봐까 라신 말해볼때 아니 뒤 슈디에 암군주 쳐도야 아니 뒤 자진인데 편도 뚜르브레스 뒤시에서 디바도 디바도시 두비준 어따디 두비준 마송 어디 봐도 마디마 레장치부 디니라스 디바들 가서 공도 때문에 시버지 디바도 공도 때문에 시버지 디바도 사진인도 상.
So from verse number 3 all the way to verse number 11, what is actually taught is that agent and action do not inherently exist. Agent and action do not inherently exist, but they exist because of their mutual dependency, because of the fact that they are mutually implicated. So this is basically the subject matter from verse number 3 all the way to verse number 13, where it says, verse number 11, where it says, a doer that is non-existent and existent does not do a deed that's non-existent and existent. This also should be understood for reasons that above are shown.
다 사이사사베사비 수바디 르바디시는 제저로다 르바디시는 제스는디 다디 니바 땐데마 두션데다 제부 레를 땐지신 레전 제부 되니라 땐는 좋아 마도 두비준의 마동 소 다디 사이사베사비 니바디 돈다 님부디 두샤다 타니도 편수 자지 여바 타니도 편수
Then the verse number 12 summarizes our second topic that we said was basically the second topic for this particular chapter, of how the notion of agent and activity or action nonetheless exists conventionally because of dependent origination. So therefore it says the doer then depends upon a deed. The deed occurs depending on that very doer. Apart from this, we do not see a cause for their establishment.
다들 자위사비 순바도 다 뒤리고 셔야 자예들이 다 동바이나 될 땡주고 남자 태주디 당신 동네 땡주고 남자 년매 봐 태구래서 태기와 뒤다도 도용.
So then the verse number 13 summarizes how, even though things are empty from the point of view of ultimate reality, but we should still be able to maintain their conventional reality within emptiness.
어디도가 나도다 냐왈링 뭐 풍봉하디 차셔는 편집 때 맞지다 냐왈링 뭐 풍봉하디 냐왈 렌자다 랑케 냐왈 랭케다 냐왈 렌자 랑자 풍봉하면서 다 탐절어디 편집 뜨르더니 마도 아니 데레 봐 세베이나 안들 아시 주도지요 말이스 레더 제부 셀처로스 제보보다 레다 응벌 항마 시버자 서도 풍벌 항마 항가 초와던 두지 항할 때 자고 그랬어.
So therefore we should also understand the five psychophysical aggregates such as form, feelings and so forth in such a way that as in terms of the relationship between the agent who experiences the who takes the five aggregates and the relationship between the five aggregates and the agent itself should be understood in the logic that we discussed earlier.
단디만 도든디나 sabjisum 누누도와 제바보 다 레니디 아니 타니 군주 마다 마지에서 주주디 고 당분은 마시기도 와. 고 당부 되는 마 자외 증는 마 되네마 고주니 시 되네마 디 임벌슈라 자와메서 되네바 아 여기 강바도 레메 제바보연 주르승 디바도다 고 두종의 시 용종 두종의 시다 가쇼원에서도 가쇼도 다 탄이도 매나 아니 문제와 가쇼도 다 지금 뭐 보셔도 걔들 제보 쓰는 막 답아 파오 와 받리기도 와
So
원도 때문에 시버자 대받리기도 어때 대봐
so
어때
so therefore, we we see that this particular chapter, first of all, for 3 topics that as we mentioned earlier, this particular chapter discusses. One is basically how the notion of agent and doer or activity do not inherently exist, and that is basically established from a positive point of view and from a negative point of view. And then the second is basically how, even though they do not inherently exist, the agent and the activity, even though they do not inherently exist, but we nonetheless are able to persist their conventional existence because of their dependent nature. From the 3rd verse all the way to the 11th verse. Yeah, from the 3rd verse. This is basically from the 3rd verse all the way to the 11th verse.
Oh, this is. That tenema ani do do share ma do do ma xiang do that is that
so this completes this particular chapter.
다 제바보당 내 딱 봐서 싸워 던 들다.
So this is how we engage, basically in the analysis between the agent and activity.
딱 내가 실제 답을 당보는 것처럼 선생님 내가 토박할 시에서나 자범 활동에 제바보 돈다 가르 제바보 생디 켈레나 켈레온 거당 메네 거다 된 시에서와 내 돈다 시에서 두두신.
So in addition to this, what I added that is not in the text is basically, the discussion surrounding agent and, creator God, things like that, and the discussion surrounding activity. That is basically a contextual discussion pertaining to this, related to this particular chapter.
딱 알아서 제바보 예수는 뒤살아와. 제바보는 이제 뭐 제바보 캐밀은 짜고 걔는 두자가 말다. 와. 나마 지요나 레네 캐켈랭지는 레디 제바보래. 레코나 상가스에서 싹바보 상해도 셈래. 들래 시랑 가보자요 말해.
So generally, as Buddhists, we shouldn't entertain fear in accepting, a creator, like a agent, because we can say that the karmic actions are the creator, and the karmic actions in turn are created by the subjective mind. So the subjective mind is the creator.
다 수지하시나 다니다가 고에 다니다가 자연성도 산대와. 오야.
So
대도 아주 수조 대도 수 세바스나 대도 건조 수를 생각서로다 레그 소스 파야게요 말이야. 저 출루가 차시는 건조 수를 생각서 두다 차시나 파 레소셜센터는 고요 말. 수수 수행라고. 수수 레드 수수 소셜스.
So that is why Shantideva says in his text, Bodhisattva's Way of Life, that one is one's own Lord, one is one's protector. One is one's own protector, and one is one's own enemy as well. And so, in this sense, what is being referred to is, we basically take responsibility for our own actions. We accept that ultimately our own subjective mind is the creator, and we don't go around saying that there is a kind of external God that creates the universe or things like that.
Or something Buddhist philosophy also says there's karma is the source of the phenomena, or sometimes we think our own opinion, our thoughts are the created everything. Actually, our karma, our own personal karma, positive karma, negative karma, who created? What it mean? What is the cause of our own karma? Is it related? Depends on our own mind. Not only mind that belong this life, many of life. So that way, sometimes might people think the creator is maybe danger. We should not accept. 제법 남자 벌써 따노. 근데 그 짜고 말했어. 근데 걔랑 따기가 말고 상당시하고 됐어.
So therefore, we should not be scared of
무슨 도박이야 뭐야?
maintaining a creator, but we should be able to maintain it in a way that is philosophically and logically viable because of dependent origination.
So 내가 다지게 지워야 되는 아시래.
As I
렌질 때는 지금 조금 다서 가가 더 다서도 된다. 현대 집안이 남바 받으려 더 달리기도 와.
So this is basically, as I mentioned earlier, how the notion of an external agent like God is something comes from our innate grasping to an intrinsic agent.
땅알 차서는 될 도가 채용 거래. 와, 삼당 가서 못해 비게 찌조보다 나서 까셔 그러. 나는 야 찹다 너무 공부성 요다. 찹다 너무 공부성 감각이 찹다 있는 거지. 감각이
And like when it comes to Buddhist Tantra, becomes even more confusing, On the one hand, we refute notion of an external creator like the ultimate person, Purusha, or God, and things like that. That is taught in other religious traditions. But then, when it comes to Tantra, we talk about the all-pervasive Lord. Like primordial, creator, primordial Lord, right? And like that's what in Dzogchen we say primordial Lord. And in Tantra we say all-pervasive Lord, which basically refers to our innate subtlest mind. So therefore we have to analyze, whether the agent is something that refers to the process of karmic cause and conditions, or it refers to a personal agent.
Or all souls, shila, how shall we see? Shila jagare, yula jagare, jena jagare.
So whether it refers to a kind of ultimate reference point, or to the causes, or to the conditions.
아다위나 정말 현지지 위시디 콘데 그런 시제 말해. 그 콘데 제법을 레베스.
So for example in Tantra, whether the subtlest nature of the mind, the innate mind, whether that is the creator of everything, whether that the all-pervasive Lord as it is referred to as, is that the creator of everything or not? We have to engage in this analysis.
다 조선의 군지 제법스도.
In the Dzogchen Tantras, we talk about the all-creating monarch. So how should we understand these terms? If you're getting bored, then we should engage in this kind of analysis. Then it will take away your boredom. This is a good gossip, actually. This is better than other gossip, other forms of gossip. In the Tantra, when we say that the innate mind is the creator, it simply refers to as the creator because it becomes the basis.
어들. 조선한테 가래. 쌤이 가서다. 란중 미시디. 아니 곤대 간 제법 인수도.
So even in the same as in the Dzogchen tradition, Dzogchen case, where he says the naturally occurring intrinsic awareness is the creator of everything.
다 쌤잠바에 강가 쌤면서
And then when it comes to the mind only school, they say that everything is mind, everything is created by the mind.
다 된다 강가. 다 간다 다진게만 된 고쳐가지고 꾼다. 누가 꾼다. 니네 쌤 서버다 강 꾼다.
So basically we have to understand that all of these forms of positions are kunda or conceptually imputed.
this is 다 랍송아. 저저 강가로디 아주 줄이 꾼다디 발랍주고 간줄. 아주 예체거다.
These, when we say the Tantra says this, Dzogchen says this, all of this because of our tendency to engage in conceptual imputation.
아주 대조가 말다.
So that's
개화망보다 되게 가가서 누워.
So this is what kind of moves a lot of scholars.
초진은 실험지요. 초진 남도 망 소거. 저다 망 차고. 초진은 야 대 차송 야가진데 그 실험만 못 지겨.
From one point of view, this kind of increases our wisdom and discernment. From other point of view, it actually increases our conceptual proliferations.
어다 진행선디 야도 그자 가셔 셔거 말에 근데 강가로 거트대 두단도 강가로도 야보여 그래서 딱지시다.
So these philosophical schools are actually very good for our own analysis, for our own examination.
나 다시 차바치죠 마 쉬우지. 차선치죠 마. 군다들 자신네.
But we should not engage in kind of attachment pertaining to the views taught in these philosophical schools.
딱지시.
In
참직샤.
So we analyze, get examination, and then we should feel contented with.
나도 다 치르바 그 가면서 다 곤조사 너도 따지게 제마. 대화도 하는 현장 안다지 다 카팡사 육사지 고도 선면 저거 말아. 이제 진짜 요샤 곤조 요샤다. 치르바서 되는 말다. 딱지망 장지면 딱지망 버지는 그 공동으로다.
And other traditions who believe in the creator God, they do so without a kind of analysis. They get scared, and then they have to naturally think there must be some sort of ultimate creator. But in Hinduism, it is not like that. The Hindus' notion of, especially Sangya, the ultimate creator, is actually a product of deep analytical process that has been going on for thousands of years. They have produced tremendous scholars. They engage in a lot of philosophical analysis, and these are really ancient philosophical schools too. They exist prior to Buddhism. And Sankhya school is something that exists even prior to the Greek philosophical schools. I'm sure like more than 10,000 years before the Greek philosophers.
Break here, 10 minutes.
So we'll take a break here for 10 minutes.
따라비 제바 레드 제바보 딱바디기 마 년도 마 실드는 시기 제바보다 레 랑시 주베 똥바디 조제세.
So now summarizing the 8th chapter on the analysis of agent and action. So the subject matter for this particular chapter is the establishment of lack of intrinsic existence to both agent and action.
안타 그바 딱 가서 그바디 단 되게 그바 쪽으로 가르잖아. 제바보 암레사보 랑시지 매장 안 타니 군습도 안 연데 매봐 요딩 빼나 랑 대두 랑 다다랑 중심하게 대두 한가로 제바보 랑기 랑 유로 요데 베게 셈디기 안 서바이 마치 아니 용되게 용적이 레암 제부대야 소조 아니 니네 민기요 봐 어다 된데디 아니 랑 첸소나 안 제바보다 레 따바디 가쇼는 안시지면 줍쇼니 아니 타니 군주를 도와매봐 봐 되든 토샤지 되디 아니 그바들.
So then the purpose for this chapter is to understand that even though from a negative formulation they don't have intrinsic existence, both agent and action do not have intrinsic existence, but from a point of view of positive formulation they exist conventionally, and therefore not only our own subjective mind as the agent for all our causal actions do exist, but also not only the causal actions but also the effect of those causal actions in the form of happiness and suffering and so forth, also infallibly that we experience in the conventional domain. So understanding that is basically the purpose or the significance of this chapter.
다 숨바도 하나서 가두네 저거도 가두네 가르세나 내가 제법을 한시지 매나 아니 제법을 한시지 매나 내가 제법을 한시지 매나 제법을 한시지 매나 대 제백이 레암 자월 한시지 매소나 아니 녀월 랑자다 녀월 렘바버즈도 한시 타니도 매워 창루선이다 뭐마도 바티 디시다 뭐마 주는데 쉐기야래 다 나루기 아니 녀월 렌자당 랑자다 녀월 렘바버즈도 한가로 아니 타니 군도 딱섬 소리 여러 마도 라시 여 말에세 딱 그런 얘기 조시다 들어와 다 내가 당 아주 대하고 지고
and then the refutation and the defense. The third topic is basically this is refuted by the Buddhist substantialist schools, Sotrantaka and Vibhashka in particular, when they say that without acceptance of agent as truly existing and action as truly existing, we would not be able to maintain the possibility of the personal self as the experiencer of the 4-5 psychophysical aggregates, and which is basically the result of the actions of the personal self and so forth, to which in terms of the defense of their position the Madhyamikas say that it is precisely because of the fact that they do not have intrinsic existence but they mutually arise, that therefore we can maintain that there is mutually dependent agent and mutually dependent action and so forth.
아니 딱 가서 됐다 시바디 시바디 들어가래 나 시바디 제법보다 레란시 매장 아니 지세 코백이 땐데 롱중 땐데 요 친제라 한 레다 제법보디 아니 세타면 봐 요딩시 대양 고 동배 강수이 뭐 차네 안데 공도 쉬고 요 레스티 공도 쉬었으면나 안돼 안 그시바디 동바다 된데 되지.
So then the fourth point here is, understanding how, dependent arising is viable even while emptiness of phenomena is accepted. And this is something that we should understand with regard to this point, is that even though agent and action do not inherently exist, but in the conventional domain, so long as we are not able to reverse the process of the 12 links of dependent origination, that the process in the conventional domain of the circling of the 12 links of dependent origination will continue. So this completes the 8th chapter. So now we come to the 9th chapter. The 9th chapter is an examination of the foregoing activity. Basically, better translated as investigation of something, the presence of something prior. And this basically analyzes phenomenon. This analyzes like personal self. Notion of a personal self.
아니 냐와 렘바데 다고 다소 생서로 다고 생서로 텐데게다 간다 다고를 숨어요 봐.
So the sutra context is that in the sutras Buddha has taught that the 5 psychophysical aggregates are the entourage, and the dominant lord here is the personal self.
that's 당아주 되는 마다 당부 더바지 다 들어야 뒤에 다 가서 다 싸워들 맞도 다 당부 식시도 가도 단들이야 자베가 삽지 뒤에 다지 가서 뒤나 제반나라 녀와 랑자 렘바보도 최면과 타로서 시에송아 다 되게 녀와 렘바보 생지 녀와 렘바보 아니 강사디 아니 랑신 요구도 세네 다디 생단들 강사가 다 강사 뭐 찬다던 전에 랑신 요 말스 뒤다 시지做过去 다디 시당 시바 지당들 안 돼. 사지 하지요.
So the context or the main topic here is that a personal self has to truly exist and intrinsically exist for it to actually be the agent behind the 5 psychophysical aggregates, or the bearer behind the 5 psychophysical aggregates. That without such an agent, without such a personal self, that is, then the notion of bearing the 5 psychophysical aggregates, or experiencing or carrying the 5 psychophysical aggregates, cannot be established. So to this claim, this chapter basically refutes the intrinsic existence of personal self, but this is done through a couple of points.
다 들려야 강사가 란시지 아니 강사가 오암 강사데 봐 다돈세나 란시 여 말에세 디디 두자 조오체 강사 란시 두바 가시 조오체 sabjikche den gaje gi dubje am den gaje riba khoro ta dubje gi riba khansa ranshi thug ma su dubje gi riba tini sawe saji tini che.
So the two topics or subtopics in this particular chapter are the refutation of the intrinsic existence of personal self, and then the second is the reasonings that are given to establish this.
다 당부 지당아 근데 조사대 가르에서나 도당 시에는 된도 단 띵이도 제고 도다 도나 시에는 띵이도 제고 도나 시에는 내려도 세빈도와 밀람 따부데스 내가 수왕 미제 치와메스 세바서는 아주 단 호환들 요된 도 망부지라 지금 다면 도 리주 선비도 한가로데 아니 따돈잖아 아니 고 세베갑기 아니 밀람 세베 찍어레스 밀람 따도 고마 삼디그러와 니 세는 다 밀람 세데 밀람 도사로 예사로다.
So the context
세빈도 밀람 따부데스.
So the context for this particular teaching
가서
is taught in many sutras, including the King of Samadhi Sutra, Samadhi Raja Sutra, where the Buddha says that the beings in the realm of existence are like dreams. Even though dreams exist in the dream state, when we are awake, then dreams don't exist.
And then
the sutra continues, in the dream state nobody actually takes birth, and therefore nobody dies. And likewise, in the notion of a sentient being, the notion of a life force, these things cannot be found when looked for. These phenomena are like bubbles of water, and like the chushingda banana tree. Without any essence, you can peel it endlessly, and there's no essence inside it. So so this chushing is basically a tree that grows in the water, even though it doesn't really have this is used to basically say that there is no essence.
Plantain
tree, yeah. So the reason why person and things are compared to the dream and plantain tree and so forth is that when we don't engage in analysis, they perceive to us, even though their perception is diluted, they nonetheless perceive the existence of person and so forth. But when we analyze, we find them to be like dreamlike. If we had a dream, when we wake up, we understand dream to be nothing but just a memory. And similarly, the existence of these things such as person is nothing but a conceptual memory, so to speak.
디나시기 디세웬한 탄디 여 말해서 녀와 랑자당 사지 풍부 사이년이 풍부 녀와 랑자 사이년이 풍부도 녀와 넘바보 강상 아니 탄이 잡념마도 라시 여 말해서 다디 라시 주바다 까거 다들디 랍지 수수적 흉기 너 공부
So
너도 공부 지단 이제 용도와 오늘 마오지다
So earlier the sutra, we mentioned about the sutra, and the sutra becomes the basis for discussion for all the Buddhist philosophical schools, including the Vibhashkas and the Sautrantika, the substantialist, and the Madhyamaka, because the sutra talks about being there being the personal self who actually experiences the five psychophysical aggregates, who is the possessor of the five psychophysical aggregates, who is therefore the agent of the five psychophysical aggregates, so on. So the Buddhist substantialists actually take this to mean that therefore, because Buddha teaches them like in this manner, therefore they must exist truly, inherently. And Buddhist Madhyamaka school maintains that yes, exactly, precisely because the Buddha taught this in this way, it is to be interpreted. That it is not to be taken literally, and therefore they exist only because of mutual dependence, and not because they have inherent existence.
당 아주 당보 들이야 녀와 렘바보 강사 라신 투바 가고 요레스.
So first of all, what is negated is the intrinsic existence of personal self, who is the appropriator or the bearer of the five psychophysical aggregates. So this is something that is maintained by all the substantialists, primarily Sautrantika and Vibhashka school.
philosophy killing 알아서 냠내 신경이잖아. 딱 먼저 플라스로 당 씌워. 딱 먼저 수수자오시나. 아니 동현 영바보. 풍부들 접자는 동현 망고여 순자. 아니 사직 소화대도 동현 간정 안 소리야. 용구도 와. 어디 동해 대다 랑작 제 동현 영바보 수수샤. 영제 동해다 동현 영바보니까 아니다. 라시 두두면 딱 수수 따지시다. 아주 쇼된수도 야.
So then we, even though these are the discussions done by philosophical schools, kind of inter-school debate, so to speak, in terms of our practical relevance, we should really apply to our own experience, where we experience suffering, therefore we experience suffering based on psychophysical aggregates, based on the contaminated five psychophysical aggregates. Now we can engage in this analysis of whether there is an experiencer, that is a personal self, and whether what is experienced exists or not inherently, and what is experienced through the medium of five psychophysical aggregates, whether they exist as well.
대인도 안서 녀와 람바보드 라신 투바 까서나 디 슈슈로야 녀와 랑자트도 라신 투바 킹도 그래서 니바데 사지 니바데 숨바데 된 대닝이 된도와 사회 사지 숨데다디.
So when we negate the intrinsic existence of the experiencer, that is the personal self, then we are also simultaneously negating the intrinsic existence of the psychophysical aggregates and the experiences themselves. And then the third topic is summarizing the content of this particular chapter. So these are the three main topics discussed in this chapter, chapter 9.
네. 다 당부되다 녀와 렘바보. 다 당부되 녀와 렘바보 가바텔라야. 땅 안에 술 당부되다 녀와 렘바보 가바텔라 다 당부 각사 그 총안 더 봐주고 수 킬링 거래서 강사 동은 영어보 사지 동은 영어보 녀 렘바보 강사로 와 디랑시 줍 생긴 킬링 수레스 디 총안도 주고 총안 더 봐. 다들 낭바 랑데 시라마오스죠. 시라마오도 도데바죠. 랑데스.
So therefore, in refuting the intrinsic existence of personal self, first of all we have to identify who actually possesses such a intrinsically existing personal self. So therefore, it's not just the in non-Buddhist schools, but also Buddhist Vipashka school and Sotrantka school maintain such a position.
다 녀와 람부 강사서 열을 나시 좀 열.
So they say, the personal self exists inherently.
준지 가르잖아. 디 매외나 아니 랑지 쳐디 사지 풍부들 안아서 요 사지 풍부들 간이 총을 해라 총해야 돼.
So they say that the ergo or the reason that if the personal self does not inherently exist and truly exist, then how come it can experience or bear the five psychophysical aggregates?
아주 수분 두배의 수세월에서 수분 두배는 수세월에서
And who is the agent behind our psychophysical aggregate form? Who is the agent behind the arising of the psychophysical aggregate of feeling and so forth? So they say, they maintain that not only such a personal self exists, but actually the personal self exists prior to what it bears, which is basically the five psychophysical aggregates. Prior to the existence of the five psychophysical aggregates, the personal self exists. So without such a prior existence of a personal self, it cannot give rise to or it cannot experience or bear the five psychophysical aggregates. So therefore, the appropriator, the bearer of the five psychophysical aggregates, that is personal self, inherently exists. So this is basically the topic of the first verse. Sight and seeing and so forth. Sight and hearing and so forth, feeling and the rest. The appropriator comes before them. This some people have declared. So now the Madhyamaka says, if this is your position, we are going to engage in a systematic analysis of each of the aggregates that are appropriated here. First, by negating a personal self, that is the that is what appropriates the psychophysical aggregate. So this is revealed by the second verse. For if there were not such an entity, that is personal self, how could sight and all the rest arise? Consequently, prior to them, this entity is present and exists.
어디시행 도와티 지지라 소와티다 뭐 요 많이나 쓰다 냐와랑제 추 부몽의 뒤에 냐와랑시 하얀 랑시 뭐 요 많이나 랑시 메나 아니 따와도 냐발라서 탐제양 대다 탐제 가루나양 아니 냐 램바보디 요 말이스.
So if the five psychophysical aggregates and if such thing as sight and hearing do not exist, then the prior existence of a personal self that experiences all of these also do not exist.
다 되네 마제 달랑제 추 가는 따지시는데 땅에서 분명하버지 저기 레일 땅 수봉 때네 수봉 아르려야 다 두고도에 수봉 땐 사봉 아르도 다 두고도에 랑시 두고도 따지시지.
So this basically is analysis of each of the five psychophysical aggregates of form, first of all by looking at form, then looking at feelings, and then analyzing whether prior to form, prior to feeling, prior to discrimination, there exists an intrinsically existing personal self or not.
다지네 마하도 다다 년나 소바도 소와라도 니지는 아루 응어보 강내와 되네 강게 다버차스. Can you turn on this one?
So the third verse, but this entity existing prior to sight and hearing and other senses, feeling and the rest, by what means can it be affirmed?
다도 다고 줄을 때네 다면 봐봐 랑제 탐지가 다도 다고 주서 다선 다서 다시암 아니 줄을 믿는 하장 태와다 다양 라시 쳐봐요 말해서 나르마도 다 탄이 되어 말해서 한테 지금 말와.
So of course we have to make this distinction that even though we maintain that the self does not inherently exist, but we don't actually mean that it doesn't really conventionally exist.
다 관한 속에 다다다다다부 유도 왔어. 년내 풍부라서 와. 다다다부 유였으면 다라시 여래서. 다 아주서 다다부 유할 땐 다라시 말했어. 저한테 어버들 고도 쓰라다. 아주 불안도 바꿔. 다다부 유 풍소라서 와. 여버 주는데 다라시 두여 말했으라고 유였어. 그다 혼자서도 다라시 두여. 다다부 유라시 두도 왔어. 다가 따와도 년발라서 도 왔어. 다 안도 퇴소. 다 니께와려면 디세디 깨워서 송도 왔어 좀 되네. 다란시면은 다 타니면도 그랬대. 맨날 나 대세디 주로스 돈 송도 왔어. 와. 티티칸 되면 그거 봐. 너마오지. 다 나로 다 다시 송자 아니 다고 유여서 다 매송래라래. 가서 다 뜨고도 왔어. 다 줍지도 다 유질 떼는 저거도 왔어. 떼는 거 땡데도 란시 두배 말했어. 다 란시 두배 말했어.
So what is happening here is because the Sodrantika and Vaibhashika school of philosophy actually maintains the existence of the five psychophysical aggregates. Therefore, they say that the personal self exists because personal self is something that is imputed on the causal basis of the five psychophysical aggregates. And because the psychophysical aggregates exist, therefore, the designated, that is the personal self, also or must exist. And to this reasoning, Madhyamikas say that we totally understand it in a totally opposite manner. We maintain that because the notion of a personal self is imputed based on the aggregates, therefore it is a conceptual label. It does not therefore inherently exist, even though in the conceptual domain we can say that it exists, but from the ultimate point of view, because it is designated precisely based on the five psychophysical aggregate, therefore it does not exist.
다도 다부 란시지 다도 다부 매나 다데 가워 다도 다부 고레스 다도 다사 좀시 따라서 봐 매버야 걔들 되네 내주나 대매봐야 대단한 여번 주가 태준매스 다 타니도 아니 다 생각이 다시면 딱줄 때니 다시 라시면 딱좀 요레스.
So conventional, of course, the self that is designated based on the basis of designation, the psychophysical aggregates exists. This is maintained by the Manoli school, the Madhyamaka school.
단주 한가 라누샤나디게 단어디 망셔데 가지기 프랑스게 다란시 두고디 아니 녀발랑자 여도다 다라 주여바당 주면 하자 태워 디시드도 디강가 다 란시 여바두디도 프랑스게
So the substantialists of course use the same logic to establish that the self inherently truly exists because there is basis of designation that inherently exists.
다 노지된 땡되는 봐. 지 강식 싸워지 강의 지식 싸워지. 지메 강식 강려 강의 지식 강려 유스. 그리고 노지된다.
But then the Madhyamaka school actually points to the contradiction in their position, like starting from verse number 5. Someone is revealed by something. Something is revealed by someone. How can there be someone without something? How can there be something without someone?
단디 싸워서도 독사가 시질 겁니다. 다란시 매자 탄이도 다 생겨로 다 독사가 신대지. 풍봉하고 차오로 풍봉하고 가능시다. 다와다 년바다 항상 가리는 다고 혼던 들에서 탄이 남자 조주저로 와. 지금 시험 주를 되네. 싸워서 들고 싸워서인데
revealed here is revealed by something here is any of the five psychophysical aggregates based on which someone, that is the personal self, is revealed.
싸워서 탄이고 탄이 저기로 와. 다죠 다시오 난 니네 저 집에서만 도선 요로 다 탄이가 다시.
Revealed in the sense of a conventional self. Conventional self is revealed. We say, I take birth, I die, things like that, which we maintain conventionally.
Oh yeah. 다지도 살서 양대 아주 클리어지스는 말은 모나스리스 되는 얘기 말.
So this basically means revealed, not clarity or luminosity.
단위도 무슨 용주요. 살서 용주요 등 저다. 아주 냐월 렘바보 냐월 랑제게 풍봉하데 누가 무슨 누가 나시지메 무슨 누가 안 랑제 알아서 렘바보 여러와 누군 영어보 여러와.
So the Tibetan term self, which is translated here as revealed, is as it is translated revealed, not in the sense of luminosity. Sometimes self has also connotation of luminosity or some luminosity and clarity. But revealed here in the sense of something that we experience, something we experience conventionally. We, the personal self, experience diversity of experiences.
야 군접 때내수도 그 랑자당 랑제 풍봉하다 아니 렘바보 여름마도 라시 주베 수지 아니 군인인데 여 말레스.
So this is therefore the domain of conventional reality. At the domain of conventional reality, the appropriator, the personal self, and the appropriated, the five psychophysical aggregates exist, but they don't have inherent existence. So therefore, how can there be something without someone?
다지 증거 같은 라시 다성의 라시 주와 민두서 따라서 탐지지 아루 강식 여반면서 따서 나는 현식이 현지체나 서버체스.
So therefore, from on verse number 6, granted you may say there is no entity preceding sight and all other senses, but the different senses, sight and so forth, make it clear at different times, which basically is again analysis on each of the five psychophysical aggregates, with starting with the form here.
다 되지. 다 딩 도바지 다들 순진 바스 다 니바디기 다 너네 막 이제 봐도 아루 때는 가와 다지 가wan도서 따라서 어떻게 나는 지식이 현지 채나 서로 제스 따라서 와 탐지정 아루 따오다 내발라서 봐 강사 치취 대 탐지정 아루람 대라 대바 매바 안신지 여바 있나 다라신 여바 있나 아루 단 여면 아루 단 라신지 여바 매나 따라서 봐래 이 아루 텐데 지다 다라신 여대 여마레스 파파 너지 당시.
So therefore, what is these claims are refuted in verse number 7. Prior to seeing and so forth, the existence of the seer is refuted. So therefore, this particular verse reads: if it does not pre-exist the senses, sight, and so forth altogether, how could it then precede the senses, sight, and so forth separately?
다들 올방도선지 다들 다 들을 때는 다 너는 되는 말이야. 다들 년을 써봐요. 다라 써봐요. 강례 주의 중대양 강례 주의 중화대양 되는 여봐 마이노스.
So then it says on verse number 11, sight and hearing and so forth, feeling and the rest. If what possesses them does not exist, they too do not exist.
다 되기 아니 슈를 다 다다 년다 되제려야 다 니가서 따와서지 되니 따와서 다 유이 렘바보암 대랑시 다 여봐 가세 다디 슈모도 가니 아니 슈려야다 랑제가 최대죠 아니 라시 저봐 슈를 가세.
So the pre-existent agent seer or the personal self is negated, and with the negation of the pre-existent seer or the personal self, what is seen, that is the five psychophysical aggregates such as the form that is seen and so forth, are also negated.
대사장은 여만이 쓰던데.
They too do not exist.
대사는 망치래. 냐와 렘바보다 냐와 랑제니가 되는 라시 좀 말했어.
And they too do not exist means like the five psychophysical aggregates.
다 혼대로 냐와 렘바보 냐와 랑제가로 냐와 렘바보 여베이나 냐와 렘바보 호가로 냐와 렘바보 신다 샤고로 와. 라시는 통면으로 와.
So if logically we maintain the pre-existence of personal self prior to the five psychophysical aggregates that is appropriated, then we have the fallacy or what we call as logical regression. Infinite regression. Then prior to that, there has to pre-existing personal self. Prior to that, there has to be a pre-existing self as well.
다 되는 막 된두샤래. 강식 달라 속바 있어. 아루 다다 치는 메스.
So then the last verse summarizes it. And so, regarding that which does not come before the senses, such as sight and all the rest, which does not coincide with them or follow after, the notion that it is or it is not are arrested.
다 너는 다 뒤가 그 되버지 다들 그 뭐시 시라면도 와. 이 강식 달라 속바 다 공시와 나신기 따와도 년발라 속바다. 대응하러나 다기형 따자 지 치료하고 하러는 매나 대라 여도라들 라시 여래 라시 여 말으니 아니 세대디 코 대한다 코 가서 다 뒤도 돌아서면 남도 그야 초바지에 마도 안 팀미세 그바가 여 말했어. 대도 땡대 수들이 내가 여랬어. 따제다 소와 용어 소와 용제 소와 여레스 아니 란시 추도 매는수다 아니 란시 드문도 저 따되는 따디 가서 란시 집에서 따와진 따디 아니 똑바다 가서 똑바다는 가고 텐데다 똑바다는 가로 그래서 그래 똑바다는 똑바다는 도바른 줄었어
the the arresting of the notion this is or that this it is or it is not is basically the pacification of the thought that says this is or this is not. And so therefore even though conventionally the appropriator, that is the personal self, and the appropriator, that is the five psychophysical aggregates, exists, because at the ultimate level they don't exist. If we engage in further analysis, they basically saying there is no point. And so therefore this finding at the ultimate level should lead us to pacification of concepts.
수시 똑바로 제에서 다지디 똑바다는 똑바로 주 똑바 남도 제기로 와다 다지 관해서 란시 두부도 스제송 아니야와 랑정 아루는 냐와 lem바고 고거리 생각 서로다 다 되는 시에송 다 주조 한가데 아니 남도 대안에 똑바도 제대로 말했어 란시에 맞으면 자지 태주 타고서나 안 된데 똑바도 용도에 말해서 그래 대란시 맞으면 자지 자와 가서 lem바보나 란시 가사다 란시 똑바도 홈하지 손사 아니 그 가사 란시 두고 돼 lem바보 랑자랑시 두바들 두고도 왔다 된데 남도 동구여랬어.
So therefore what it says here in this last line is that when we understand that the notion of a personal self and the five psychophysical aggregates exist only relationally, that is conventionally, interdependently, then that should be sufficient, and there's no need to further engage in whether such a self pre-exists the psychophysical aggregates or not, because the ultimate analysis it doesn't, and therefore it leads us to the pacification of concept.
다디 ngaru takba sedo ga nyawa langji ngaru na da sengdi 랑시 두다 민두서 따지세 뜻다고다.
So this is what is meant by this chapter, an examination of prior existence of something, someone, and that basically means whether a personal self pre-exists before the psychophysical aggregates that it appropriates. So let's examine, as a kind of question, in the dream state, does a self exist or not? If a self exists, then it should also have the five psychophysical aggregates. Do you think the dream self also has the five aggregates? So this is how we can examine. So within the dream state, it is kind of more complicated question. We have to say within the dream state, if the personal self exists, is the dreamer the personal self? Whether there is a personal self in the dream state. We are actually sleeping.
Oh yeah. That dreamnal imagination, perception, but
in the dream state, we experience all the aggregates, feelings and senses, sights. During that stage, in the dream state, it does the self exist.
근데 뜻 제바시다. 제바시.
So this is how we can engage in analysis.
지금 하루 딱 봤으면 고지 전부 열다.
So therefore this is very meaningful examination prior to aggregate whether these are self or not.
딱 아주 뒤고 풍부 뒤에서 라바도 통해가 여 말이래. 코란값 뒤양 레그답 양 풍부 유지다. 남시 풍부 열어 봐. 풍부 참고 열어 봐.
So during the dream state, even though the gross aggregates are not there, but the dream self actually experiences a subtle aggregate.
남시 참모들 남시 되는데 룽무지다.
There is a subtle mind, and the subtle mind is dependent on a subtle wind, which is the form.
가서 미가시 꼬마차는 꼬마차는 마보 술래 그냥 예모 꼬마지 상도 가들 남지수 쇼도 가들 그만 가 제정도 또한 제로란 거마 풍부된 남지수 쇼도 근데 연구도 왔어.
For example, sometimes what we have is some people, get into a coma, and when they recover from from that stage, they forget everything that from their previous lifetimes.
오야. 다 디디 간대. 근데 다나 고만내려고 남시대 아주 풍부되지 그만 저거 용의전에 명예절에서.
So how about that subjective mind that recovers a coma state and forgets all other aggregates like feelings and forgets what has been done?
Second person
becomes almost like a different person. Can remember what that person did 2 months ago, about a year ago.
다 되는 아주 야 포와 동주신이 잘 들고 nenjur babi mi dewaji ani cha roche mengi namje phose ko chanjun ro.
Then some people who are able to engage in transference of consciousness, they were able to transfer their consciousness into a dead body of an animal, for example, like a bird. Then what happens there? The relationship between the subjective mind and the aggregate.
야와 랑자들 넘버 보시는 딱 한데 들어와. 안 줘. 야와 랑자 때는 이제 문제 야와 넘버 본 족수도 한데 저거.
So in that case, how do we understand the appropriated aggregates and the appropriator, the subjective self?
아주 야와 내 답변은 제와 랑세데 괜찮아도 별이 미지 시양 아직 경우로. 별이 미지 신 아직 경우도 거기 가지 경우로 맞겠어. So
even the notion of the personal self appropriating the aggregates is a little bit difficult to understand. Sometimes, somebody dies in Tibet, takes rebirth in the United States. How is that possible? So the aggregate of consciousness, the prior moment of aggregate of consciousness get linked into the next moment. So in the dream state and so forth, I think it is primarily the aggregate of consciousness. In the Bardo state, dream state, Bardo state, and during the time of transference of consciousness practice, I think the predominant psychophysical aggregate is the aggregate of consciousness. Even though it's basically the same in the sense that appropriator is the personal self.
안 되네 바도 돼 안테가 나시래. 그 바도 돼 않고 남시 얘기 참주는 제가 지금 남시 치마 참주로 와. 데려져 차버려. 다 동주 세계대 양티 되는 말. 다 대한 nen주배 땡기지 없다지. 땡기지 없다 네바도 폰으로 와. 포사도 시를 다다고 남시 때는 여바 있네. 동주라.
So during the dream state, the gross psychophysical aggregates remain dormant, or what they call as they dissolve, and even the psychophysical aggregate of consciousness, even though it manifests, the gross psychophysical consciousness dissolves, and then a subtle dream consciousness manifests, and with the dream consciousness there is also a subtle wind, that is the physical form, and they act as the basis for the designation of a notion of a personal self within the dream state. And within the context of Bardo state, it is something that arises because of our karmic appearance, karma. And in the context of the practice of transference of consciousness, it is through the power of samadhi of the yogi that is able to impact this
띵징.
the power, meditation, samadhi.
다들 그 제면다 마도 그 그냥 그 유사랑은 남시래도 와.
So even though the conditions are a little different, the medium is still the consciousness.
동은 남시더라도 와.
And what transfers is
다들 다래 말대 다로.
what get transferred is the consciousness.
다로도.
So that is the self, right? So that's the self goes.
된대지. 다 뒤 남시 풍부 지금 내가 풍부 신다를 되고 있으라면도.
So therefore predominantly dependent on the aggregate of consciousness. So in this way we can engage in like more detailed analysis.
생도 강사 다서다 소소 다 남주기 나다 최세 나다 생겨로 다다 간대지래도 없어 나서 낭수의 현주 간대도 내로 다스는 간대도 없어 다음에 때는 파고다 남지그 부모 남지그 남도 신달제 남도 그저 방 남방아 제방 되지.
So for us we have to understand the selflessness of phenomena by example of a charioteer with 5 or 7 parts.
그죠? 어디 다승도 안 되죠. 수분이 받자니까 갈 때는 따져서 아 초반 따도 레 따도 다들 저기로 와.
So we try to analyze what is the basis of imputation for a personal self. It is each of the five aggregates individually, or the collective aggregate becomes the basis for a designation, and so forth.
나 남정 아주 쬐당도 거들라. 아니 폐 갭선 다 된다고 동거라다 지금 또 수집 내주는 갔다. 다 다음에 봤다. 지금 쓰고 지와 매대 가르스나 다당 아주 지바도 찌어도 와. 다 풍볼 때는 아시 두두 삼네. 풍보 냐와랑지 풍보다 냐와람보 다 니가디 안데 라시 두샤 삼네. 라시 두바 로스 다 주도에 말 감들. 라시 주도데 다 주도 라시 주도래. 다 감들 음아벨로.
So therefore that is what we do in the context of chair practice, when we say I the fearless yogi. Right now we are fearful because we believe in the existence of a self that is dependent on the 5 psychophysical aggregates. We experience fear. So when we experience fear, what the fearful mind, what does it actually sustain?
소소 다시 같이 말 강발라고 풍고시는 책을 말때 갑들 로텔라.
To the fearful mind, what arises is not the object of the designation of the which is basically the aggregate, but what is designated a sense of self. This is what arises.
나디 나서 유 딩딩이야지 라시 주든 참.
A sense of self that is not dependent on other factors.
다 딘데데 아니 다 딘데데 다 쪼보샤 녀모 탐제 자와 딘서거.
So this is basically the root of all negative emotions.
녀모 저나 말로 직소라스. 다른 좀 로이 통주싱스. 단디도 단도나 디기 lembabu ngaruna 통보 다 냐왈랑제 ngaruna lembabu 다 생인데 다 드르면 따지시는 민두 쓰던 돈나 lembabu는 랑제니가 다 니가 라시 좀 똥바리 세디다 혼도 쇼고 중대장.
So by studying this particular chapter, what we have to understand is that the notion of a personal self and the five aggregates on which the self is designated, both of these two things do not inherently exist. So that is what is meant by the specification of the concept at the end.
다 여자 가르선 다 땅에도 시시시긴다. 다 여자들 가르다 세사로 여자들 냐왈 렘버보다 냐왈 랑자라시 좀 동과도 여자체.
So then my 4 points regarding this chapter. What is the subject matter? The subject matter is that the self and the aggregates based on which the self is designated, both of these categories do not inherently exist.
되네.
The purpose is just as I mentioned now. Self is designated based on aggregates is designated based on the self. To understand that itself is the purpose. So the notion of a self that goes from this life to the next life only exists dependently, like an illusion, based on many causes and conditions. So the third topic is refutation, defense, and so forth. What is refuted is basically the lower schools. They maintain that because the aggregates exist, therefore the self must also inherently exist.
아니 냐와 랑자란시 마르바 손자 냐와 렘바보 안 땡데수도 마다 최순 저여레 내여레 징조다 화랑 란시 동바에 손자 콜 땡베기 다 제슈 제가 나시당 통조라서다 탐지 아니 유미수도 여레스 어된다 동발라야 다란시 집에 동발라야 안 랑자 냐와 렘바다 통조라서다 란시 동부수 땡데수도 여 태바지 어디다
So then the fourth point is how nonetheless within the domain of emptiness dependent arising phenomena is viable. So even though the personal self as well as the aggregates based on which it is designated do not intrinsically or swabhavically exist, but nonetheless they exist interdependently, and so therefore the self that experiences bonded and freedom conventionally exists, and because of that the aggregate that it appropriates also exists conventionally, relationally, that is.
오얀 다 투체데 드링 다 지점되는 조바인스 라지 고바사소
So this completes the 8th and 9th chapter. We're going to stop here. Mage banam jegyo je nyewa nyamba mema yang kone kondo pewa shu.